So we'll see everybody at the end.
Close-ups? Good.
Yes. Good afternoon and welcome to the first of 3 All Candidates Forums that we are streaming live on Castanet from the Streaming Cafe on Leon Avenue in downtown Kelowna this afternoon. I'm Wayne Moore. I'll be your moderator for the first forum featuring candidates from Kelowna-Lake Country. And I would like to thank all the candidates, first of all, for taking time out in their busy schedules to speak with us this afternoon. From my left and your left, BC Liberal incumbent candidate Norm Letnick. To his left, from the Green Party, Mr. Gary Adams. To his left, from the BC NDP, Mike Newens. And to the far left, from the BC Conservatives, Mr. Graham James. The format will start with a 2-minute opening statement. Those statements will be followed by a series of question and answers. Each candidate will have 1 minute in which to answer those questions. If applicable, 1 minute rebuttal may be offered to an opposing candidate, and the forum will conclude with a 1 minute closing statement. We drew numbers prior to beginning, so from our left to right is how they're seated and how they will begin. So a 2-minute opening statement will begin with Norm Letnick. Norm?
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you everyone here for coming and everyone at home for watching. It's been indeed a privilege to be your MLA in Kelowna-Lake Country for the last 4 years, and before that to be a city councillor right here in Kelowna for 3 years. I'm a small businessman for 20, H&R Block franchise, a video store, a computer store, and a Motorola dealership. And in 2000, I moved to Kelowna and started teaching at Okanagan College, and I've been a business professor there ever since. The nice thing about the college is they give teachers a leave of absence so they can go away and serve their communities and come back later to teach the students everything they learned while they were working as in public service. So I'm running again because I care deeply about our community. I care deeply about the people here, seniors, families, homeless, everyone involved in our community. I want to participate in any way I can to help them. I've done that over the last 7 years. I've done that over the course of my lifetime. And I just still have that burning desire in me to give back to my community and give back to everyone in it, not only locally here in Kelowna-Lake Country, but working with Ben Stewart and Steve Thompson all over the central Okanagan, and with my party serving the needs of all British Columbians. You know, we have a lot of things that we've done here. You just need to look around at the new bridge, the expansion at the hospital, Okanagan College, what's happening on the highways, improving Sexsmith, you name it. There's all kinds of work that's been done here, but we still have more to do. And along with my colleagues, Ben and Steve, and along with a strong economy, I believe we can do those things that are most important to us right here. Things like healthcare investment and new schools and continue the expansion of our roads and infrastructure. So with your support and with your vote, I hope to be your MLA again one more time for 4 more years. Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
Thank you. It's great to be with you today. I'm Gary Adams, Green Party candidate for Kelowna-Lake Country. Thank you to the organizers for this event, Castanet and our moderator, and the Streaming Cafe for providing the venue. People that listen to an event like this are obviously concerned about politics and the future direction of our province. I hope you will get the answers to your questions today and continue questioning and thinking during the rest of the campaign. There's a lot to learn about the 4 candidates and their party policies. All of the candidates have online websites that you can visit for more information. I believe this is one of the most important elections in BC in many, many years. There are so many big issues and many views on ways to resolve them. Genetically modified organisms, climate change, coastal tanker traffic, pipeline issues, healthcare, government accountability, quality education, and a healthy business climate for our current and future citizens are just some of the issues. The Green Party is known for its strong environmental positions. However, we have policies about every government issue. A complete platform document is available at greenparty.bc.ca. After reading this material, you will find a welcome change from the party politics of today and a wealth of new ideas for tomorrow. Core Green principles are participatory democracy, sustainability, social justice, respect for diversity, ecological wisdom, and nonviolence. Thank you.
Mr. Newens.
Thanks, Wayne. My name is Mike Newens. I'm the NDP candidate for Kelowna-Lake Country. A little bit about myself. I'm born and raised in Lake Country. I'm third generation to the area of Lake Country. My granddad moved into Lake Country in 1912 and came to this country and started a small orchard. I grew up on the orchard. When I graduated from high school, I continued the orcharding business with my father until I was about 30. And I started a small business in the meantime to pay the bills from the orcharding. It didn't seem the apple industry at that time, and it's very similar to the way it is today, that you need a second job to be able to survive on the orchard. So I started a small business, and that business that I ran for just over 30 years grew into a 15-person operation, small excavating company that I ran through the Kelowna-Lake Country area. And I really strived on making sure that my clients that I dealt with made sure that they had the best product at the end that could be delivered to them. I have two sons that are still living in Lake Country. One's 21 and the other one is 18, and they're trying to make a living through the economy as it stands now. One son is a cook, making $14.25 an hour. My other son is a second-year apprentice in the carpentry trade and trying to make ends meet through that too. We need to make a change here. We need to go forward, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to put my name forward to run for the NDP candidate for Kelowna-Lake Country. I believe it's time that we have a change for the better, one practical step at a time. I also believe that we need a change and we don't need more of the same. Thank you.
Mr. James.
Thank you, Wayne. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Graham James. I'm the BC Conservative candidate for the Kelowna-Lake Country riding. You have in this upcoming election the chance to change the way governments represent the people of British Columbia. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a revenue problem in this province. We have a spending problem. We've been living beyond our means for the last 20 years, first with the NDP and now with the Liberals. Together, these two parties have destroyed the middle class in British Columbia. Between these two parties, they've racked up $60 billion in deficits. Christy Clark and the Liberals have added another $90 billion plus in contractual obligations that my children and their children will be paying for in the future. Even with interest rates near zero, we're paying $8 million a day in interest alone. There's got to be a better way. The BC Conservatives are that alternative to the NDP and the Liberals. We will actually balance the budget. We have the second highest child poverty rate in Canada. And this Liberal government has spent $65 million on advertising in the last 2 years to tell us how great they are. It's shameful. The BC Conservatives will focus our spending on jobs training, education, and helping those in need. We will spend money to train our youth for jobs in BC, not Alberta. We will encourage companies to open up our natural resource sectors to employ people from BC in those high-paying jobs. The BC Conservatives will represent you and you alone. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. A couple of housekeeping things before we get underway. You'll notice, candidates, that to your left, Robin has a couple of placards that he's holding up, and will be doing so throughout the session, a 30-second and a wrap. Once you see the wrap, please wrap up as soon as you can. Your minute is almost done. And for those that are watching us live right now, if you have a question for the candidates, please feel free to send them to us. You can email news@castanet.net or on Twitter @CastanetNews. Let's start with the economy. Let's start with the budgets. And I would like to ask each candidate, first of all, starting with Mr. Adams, how does your party propose to balance the budget? And how quickly do you propose that that can be done?
I don't think we've put together a budget at this point that I could answer to. As far as I know, we're working from a broad spectrum of policy. Balancing year by year is important. I know Jane Sturck, our leader, took on her position with the party very much in debt. And over the next few years, she fundraised, cut costs, and made things lean and mean. And we are now in a balanced position.
Mr. Newens.
Well, under the BC NDP's proposal, our financial fiscal plan that we actually released prior to the election being called, so that we actually show how that we're going to pay for the things that we're going to deliver over the course of the next 4 years. So our fiscal plan is fully costed and fully put forward so that we can put the issues that come first to the citizens and the people of BC. And we recognize that we need to work through some things that need to be done to improve the economy around BC, like skills training and the apprenticeship. We also need to work on agriculture. We also need to look into the health sector and work through that to make sure that the citizens around here in Kelowna-Lake country and elsewhere in British Columbia are actually protected under the healthcare system. So our fiscal plan has been released and it's fully funded and fully costed.
Mr. James.
Thank you, Wayne. First of all, we're not going to waste money spending it on advertising. We're not going to spend $10 million on Bollywood. We're going to reform the healthcare system. We're going to reform the fall legislation. We're going to go over line by line budget items for hospitals, colleges, universities, our health care, and we're going to find those efficiencies. There's millions of dollars left on the table with our health care system every year. The last report I read, 25% of our health care budget can be saved just by finding efficiencies within the system. That's what the BC Conservatives will do. We will find those efficiencies and we will balance the budget.
Finally, Mr. Letnick.
Well, the first thing we have to do is continue to have a strong fiscal plan, as we do now, that we've committed to balanced budgets, and we continue to deliver on those. Steve, Ben, and I actually sat at the cabinet table when we looked at the last budget and made some tough decisions that we said no to so that we can come back with a balanced budget, Wayne. The paradox is this. If we continue to spend more money than we have to borrow that money. And that tends to dissuade investment in our economy. So we have to continue to invest in our economy, but at the same time keep our costs under control, which we've been doing. So we propose a 5-year freeze on personal income tax rates so people can balance their own budgets at home, 5-year freeze on carbon tax rates, and investment into things that are important right here for our economy locally, like tourism. We're thinking about working with private sector on a convention center, agriculture on value-added items, high tech. We want to be the Canadian leader in high tech throughout the country. So those are the two priorities: work at controlling our own spending, but at the same time work at driving the economy so that we can have economic growth that pays for our social programs.
Thank you. And next question, we'll start with Mr. Newens. It's widely known that the Central Okanagan has one of the oldest average populations in the country, according to the last 2 national census. How does your party plan to balance the growing cost of providing health care to the aged in the Central Okanagan in the Kelowna-Lake Country riding, along with that of needing to tighten government spending?
Well, we certainly do recognize that the aging population around the Kelowna-Lake Country is is growing every year. The Okanagan Valley has been well known for individuals coming here to retire, and as such, they stay and here for the remaining of their lives. We recognize again through the BC NDP that we need to support our elderly as they're going through their later part of their years, and we've again put a program in place to deal with their issues, to support them through the issues in whether it's in seniors care or whether those individuals actually want to have care in their home under a palliative care program and so on and so forth. So we've put a considerable amount of money, about $40 million into that project to make sure that our seniors are maintained and cared for as they move through their senior years here.
Mr. James?
Thank you. First of all, we have spending for a world-class healthcare system. We don't get good value for our money. The Euro-Canadian Health Index said we get the worst results for the amount of money we put in. We have to reform our healthcare system. We have to have a government that'll tell people the truth. Our system is in crisis. We spend money and get no results. We've poured millions and millions of dollars into our healthcare system, and we still have extensive wait lists. European countries don't have those wait lists. We can learn from them. We can reform our system and still maintain universal healthcare systems. We have to do something better.
Mr. Letnick?
This is very important to the people that I represent, and so important that I started a PhD in health economics so that I can understand how the systems work, how other systems around the world work, and look for the best tools that we can apply right here in the Central Okanagan and all of BC. And one of those things that we have to continue doing is reforming the system, of course, but we also have to make sure that we take care of the seniors right here. And that's why we've seen more care facilities for seniors throughout BC, quite an increase. We've seen faster times from 1 year waiting list back in 2001 down to 90 days on median for getting into assisted living. And we continue to work with our healthcare system, one that's actually one of the best in Canada, according to the Conference Board of Canada, to modify it, to look for new doctors, to increase the number of medical spaces that we have here right in Kelowna, to increase double the number of nurses. And by doing that, by working with our healthcare professionals, we are able to help not only seniors, but people of all ages throughout British Columbia.
Mr. Adams?
Well, we are facing a healthcare problem in BC, but it's been a long time in the making. The problem really began in the 1990s with decreases in federal government transfer payments. The provincial NDP added to the problem by cutting the number of healthcare professionals being trained in BC, reducing funding for mental health, eliminating home support for seniors. So those are some areas that the Green Party will definitely look at in improving the situation by cutting healthcare costs, maintaining service levels, by getting rid of waste, improving primary care, and increasing multidisciplinary service. And also definitely preserving universal single-tier health care.
Thank you. Going on to a question we just received via email, and we'll start with Mr. James on this. This comes from Mike, who would like to hear, and this has been a hot-button topic on Castanet for the last couple of months. Mike would like to hear the candidates' views on the two-tiered billing structure, which has been approved by the BC Utilities Commission and is financially pounding, and these are his words, the Central Okanagan families. That it's being done by both FortisBC and BC Hydro. A two-pronged question: would you work to overturn this, and would you rework or reverse the BCUC's decision? Mr. James.
Well, the unfortunate aspect of this, this Liberal government has taken BC Hydro away from those BCUC recommendations. Away from the areas that regulate BC Hydro. The two-tier system is made to reduce people's consumption. Unfortunately, this government is using BC Hydro as a cash cow. It has for years and years and years. So BC Hydro is very poorly run. It's billions of dollars in the hole, and they're looking ways to improve their cash flow. And if we allow BC Hydro to operate properly, they can reduce the costs of the generation and electricity within BC. So we have to step back from using ICBC, hydro, the ferries as cash cows, and we have to move ahead with that.
Before we move along, can you speak to the question as to whether you would rework the decision?
Yes, I would. It's only the start. The two-tier system is only the start. The smart meters is a bad move. They're going to start time of day billing.
Okay.
And
that's fine.
That's the very
that's fine. You've answered
part.
the question. Mr. Letnick?
Thank you for the question, Mike. The two-tier system as it is now, actually I've been hearing quite a bit about it at the doors, especially from seniors who are on fixed incomes, who the only way to heat their homes is through electricity. Seen a rise in their bills, of course, over the winter, and also from people who, through my government, through policies of encouraging them to move away from fossil fuels, has put in heat pumps, and now they're paying more for the electrical use. So those are things that are very dear to me, and if I'm re-elected, the answer is yes. I will be looking for a review of the process. I can't, as an MLA, or we can't, whoever wins as an MLA, direct BCUC as to what to do because they are an independent body away from government. But we can certainly look at reviewing the system, the process, and making sure that it's fair for those people that I mentioned and others who might be adversely impacted.
Mr. Adams?
Well, this policy surely doesn't fit the Greens' vision of energy use and energy billing that we'd like to see. It's a very complex issue. I don't know how much time I have. I hope you'll look at this more in depth, because what we're finding is the present government pushing Site C, for example, hydroelectric power to be used by northern gas and oil companies is a real problem. We don't need Site C. That money could be spent on other forms of renewable energy that really make British Columbia more self-sufficient, not less self-sufficient in its energy and energy billings.
Mr. Newens?
Thanks for the question, Mike. Good question. And it's an issue that is, again, another form of tax against the people that live in the rural parts of BC. Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't able to have natural gas come to their residences because the gas utilities isn't in that part of the neighborhood yet. So they're basically forced, or you're basically forced to have to use the electrical heating systems in your houses and that to go forward with. So part of what we've said in our platform is that we will be reviewing the BC Hydro's process and how they're generating and the administrative of the system and how it's going about. You know, the ironic part of it is the current government just the money that was spent on the smart meters, I think it was in the tune of over $1 billion. So we can't go back on that, and that's something that's been put in place, but a lot of people are quite concerned about those things that are going on.
Thank you. Back to the beginning, we'll start with Mr. Letnick. Mr. Letnick, you gave the NDP agriculture plan an F when it was rolled out here in Kelowna 10 days ago. Now, most people in BC would agree that a Feed BC, a Buy Local, and a Grow Local program would all be good ideas. As Agriculture Minister, excuse me, as Agriculture Minister, what did you not like about the plan and how would you differ it?
Well, our plan was to increase the amount of fruit that was on the trees that was actually marketable. We did that by introducing a replant program. Actually, Steve, Ben, and I fought for that replant program. We got $2 million. We also got the commitment from government and gave that to the public that we would continue with the replant program on an annual basis, and so that helped quite a bit. Also, another program is the $2 million Buy Local program. This is where we partner with industry to on 50-cent dollars, where we put in 50 cents, the industry would put in 50 cents, and they would therefore be able to advertise the way they saw fit to the public, as opposed to going with the Buy BC brand, which is still available through the BC Ag Council, but no one is asked actually to use the Buy BC brand. We've increased funding for the Agricultural Land Commission, brought in a new meat inspection system. We've also brought in milk products into the fruit and veggie program. Just a number of things that we rolled out with a 20% increase in my agricultural budget for this year.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, what would you do to help struggling farmers, orchardists in the Kelowna-Lake country riding?
Well, there's a whole raft of issues that are associated with agriculture, not just farmers' income, but farmers' ability to grow healthy crops. We've seen some of the evidence of climate change ongoing as we watch the weather this spring. I'm not sure it's here yet. Maybe today. We're not sure about tomorrow. But most scientists are now convinced that climate change is real. It does have a real impact by moving the agricultural areas further north as the earth heats up. We're the hottest we've been in 4,000 years now. And many of our policies, we think in the Green Party, need to be coordinated with fuel use, climate change, and the repercussions that fall to agriculture. Thank you.
Mr. Newens?
Well, the question basically comes from the issue that the BC NDP did under our announcement under the agriculture platform a week and a half ago or so in Lake Country. And again, it's near and dear to my heart. I grew up on the agriculture in the industry. My sister's still farming in the industry, and I know many, many growers around the Kelowna-Lake Country area that are still trying to farm through the industry. The Feed BC, Grow BC, Buy BC program, it is being accepted and acknowledged by the industry out there. I've had many phone calls since we announced the release of our platform and our program on that. They're very excited about what the BC NDP is going to present and what we're putting forward under our agriculture platform. We need to also work with the industry. They've got great ideas, and we need to get together with them, sit down with them, have an open door policy with them, and have the discussions with them.
Finally, Mr. James.
Thank you. First of all, we have to realize that BC has the toughest land use policies in North America, and we support our industry, our agricultural industry, the least in all of Canada. All these programs are good, but they don't focus on the issues. We need to get more money to our agricultural users. We need to do a replant program from day 1 to year 4, and that hasn't been done. We need to upgrade facilities. We need to upgrade packing houses. Those are the things that the industry needs. These small little Buy BCs, yes, they work. But the fundamental problem is we don't support our agricultural industry enough. We have to support the farmer, not just the land with the agricultural land reserve, but we have to support the farmer. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's stick with agriculture. We'll begin with Mr. Adams. Many orchardists widely opposed to genetically modified organisms or GMOs. What is your stance and your party's stance?
Well, the party's definite on GMOs. Just say no. It's a very serious issue worldwide. Europe has had its problems with it. The U.S. has. The big companies, seed companies primarily, are fighting it, of course. It's a huge profit maker for them. Plants that look better, plants that grow better, certainly helps their bottom line. But a lot of people are concerned about the spread of these genetically modified organisms, whether they be plant or animal, and we take it very, very seriously.
Mr. Newens.
Yeah, the BC NDP is, again, we're against the programs that are there with the GMOs to go forward. And, you know, as Mr. Adams has said, the issues that are happening, you know, worldwide are a concern to us here too, and we need to make sure that that doesn't happen and we don't move forward in that direction. We've also released in our platform that we will be banning all cosmetic sprays that are out there, and again, it's a concern that we have, that we make sure that we protect our environment and the issues that are going on and being dealt with every day with the concerns with the pesticides that are going into the streams and rivers around the Okanagan here.
Mr. James.
Thank you, Wayne. GMOs are a big threat to our organic industry, our fruit growing industry in this area. It will destroy that industry. That industry is actually making money in the Okanagan, in the Similkameen. We have to do more. We have to say no. We have to get governments to say no. The biggest threat I see with GMOs is Monsanto introducing GMO alfalfa. That will affect everything. It affects my beef raising. It'll affect every aspect of agriculture within this province. And we don't have a voice to say no.
Mr. Letnick.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you for the question. I had the privilege of meeting with the other agriculture ministers from around the country and the territories back in September in Whitehorse as we signed a deal for moving forward with agricultural investment for the next 5 years called Going Forward 2, where we would see about $500 million come to BC to support agriculture over the next 5 years. As part of that discussion, I brought up GMOs with the Minister Ritz, because it is a CFIA issue, in other words, a federal decision. But Minister Ritz, I believe, has some impact on it. About a month or so after that, maybe 2 months after that, from my office in Victoria, I also called Minister Ritz one more time and expressed to him the concern that fruit growers had given to me, that we do not want to see the Arctic apple approved in Canada, especially in BC and right here in the Okanagan. He understood the concerns and said that he would look at those concerns, of course, being that CFIA at the end of the day is the final decision maker.
On to our next question. We'll begin with Mr. Newens on this. One of the more contentious issues throughout the campaign and certainly even before the campaign centered around construction of the Northern Gateway pipeline. What is your position?
Well, it's really clear, and I think we've been very clear in everything that the BC NDP has talked about with the Northern Gateway project. We are definitely against it, and the reason for it is the long-term gains for economic growth are very minimal. The impacts on the environment are far outweigh what gain we would get by the pipeline going across the top end of our province. And the tanker traffic that would be trying to maneuver around the islands up around Prince Rupert, it's inevitable that something's going to happen and there will be a disaster. Those of you who have gone out and fished in that particular area, which I've done 2 or 3 times, it's an amazing area, and one spill will completely devastate the whole aspect of what's going up in the northern part of. So yes, we're definitely against it, and we've been saying that on every front that we're out at.
Mr. James?
Well, my position is very clear. I'm against Enbridge. I don't think they're a good corporate citizen. Their track record on spills are appalling. But I am for Mr. Black's proposal to build a pipeline, to put a refinery at the end of it. With a pipeline, we have 200-300 jobs. With a pipeline and a refinery, we have 200-300 jobs and 2,000 jobs. That's what the people of BC need. Plus, we ship finished product. It's safer. Pipelines are the safest way to transport oil. And we can do that. We can do it safely, but we have to provide jobs for BC and the youth of our province.
Mr. Letnick?
So touching on that, our party is definitely supportive of Mr. Black's $25 billion proposal. The Premier actually said that in the legislature right from the beginning. We'd like to see that move forward. It'd be a great addition to British Columbia and jobs. We're also a big proponent of liquefied natural gas. We want to see LNG plants in British Columbia so we can sell our natural gas overseas at many times what we can get it here, so that we can continue to drive the economy right here in BC. On the Northern Gateway project, the Premier came out with our 5 conditions. The 5 conditions, number 1 condition was a properly accepted environmental assessment. If the environmental assessment comes back and says that the risks outweigh the benefits, it should not go ahead, and that pretty well stops it in its tracks. If, however, the environmental assessment comes back and says that it is a project that should be moved forward under certain conditions, then we have 4 other conditions, 2 of which are environmental. 1 is First Nations, and the last condition, and probably the least important condition, is the one of economic sharing of resources with British Columbia.
Finally, Mr. Adams.
Well, I'm agreeing with my left and far left and disagreeing vehemently with my right this time. The Green Party believes this is a ridiculous situation. Site C, for example, hydroelectric dam costing about $8 billion at this point, maybe going higher, versus a possible wind energy venture put up by a company called Vinifera. Actually favors wind energy being less expensive, and it's certainly more environmentally desirable than compressing natural gas to make LNG with Site C power in the far north, transporting that LNG by pipeline and tanker to get it out of the country for sale, or transporting it east by pipeline. It's a very, very dangerous proposition, and money-wise just doesn't make sense for this time.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Small business has been called the backbone of the economy, and small business, of course, has been hit hard in recent years with both the downturn of the economy, the introduction and the removal of the HST. How do you propose to assist small business get back on their feet in this riding? Begin with Mr. James.
Well, first of all, we'd like to lower small business tax. The Liberal government came out with that in the last election. Christy Clark came in, they canceled that reduction, and they made it again in this budget for 2017, I believe. We'd like to see that tax reduced now. We have to support our small business. We can do that in a number of ways. First of all, we're the only party that's going to kill the carbon tax. That is a punitive tax on all of BC. The rural areas, it hurts businesses, small, large, everywhere. So that's one of the areas that we're going to look at, and we're going to reduce that small business tax.
Mr. Letnick.
Well, I had 4 small businesses, and I know what it means to meet a payroll, and it's extremely important that we continue to do those things that will make small businesses successful. One of the things we can do is reduce red tape. Nothing takes more time for a small business person than to have to fill out paperwork and do red tape. So we've been noticed as the #1 place for small business for reducing red tape throughout the country. We plan to continue working on that. We also have one of the lowest tax rates for small business. It's at 2.5%. The plan is to reduce it down to 1.5% over the next few years. We want to continue to streamline the RFP process, reduce it so that contracts under $250,000 will be limited to a 2-page RFP, which will give small businesses an opportunity to actually bid on some of those big contracts that other people have been getting. And we need to continue to make sure that we reduce or encourage the small business to hire people locally that are trained right here at Okanagan College and UBC Okanagan.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, the future and stability of BC's economy lies in our small businesses. 98% of all businesses in BC are small to medium-sized. They invest money directly into the communities where they operate. They're an important part of community spirit, quality of life. Unfortunately, current government policies do not recognize their importance. BC Greens will take small business seriously. We will work with local governments to ensure small businesses have every chance to succeed. Buy BC campaigns are one example. Small power producer loan guarantees, clean air tax credits are among the policies the Green Party has.
Mr. Newens.
Yeah, being somebody that actually owned two small businesses in the Kelowna-Lake country area, I experienced firsthand what it's like to be an individual trying to deal with the impacts of the everyday runnings of a small business. My opponent, Mr. Letnick, talked about eliminating the red tape. Well, the HST that came in completely caused a whole bunch of red tape for a number of small businesses around the province here. And then it was eliminated, and we have to start all over again with a bunch more red tape. The small businesses, we need to work with them. We need to get skilled training and skilled individuals to actually get out there so that they are linked with the small businesses. A lot of small businesses are looking for skilled tradespeople, skilled individuals, and vice versa, as skilled. So we need to make that link so that the employers and the businesses and the workers actually have a link so that they can get the jobs that are there and be able to maintain those jobs.
Thank you. Start back with Mr. Letnick. The public transportation system in this area lags behind those in some other areas of the province, specifically the Lower Mainland. How do you propose to get people out of their vehicles and into transit?
Well, when I was on City Council for 3 years, and since then as an MLA, we worked very hard to see more bike routes available for citizens, as well as more transit for people. Working with the students at UBC Okanagan, we were able to get a U-Pass instituted, which saw quite an increase in the number of people using transit. We're currently working, of course, with Steve and with Ben to see a transit system that is seamless from the west side all the way through to UBC, and hopefully in one day all the way through Lake Country up to Vernon, so that we can have people from both sides coming down to the center through our transit system. So we need to continue to invest in it. We put millions of dollars into improving the transit system. In BC, we spend about 50 cents on every dollar for transit provincially, and this is one of the leaders in the country, so we have to continue to do that. But we also have to work on making sure we have more bike paths, more rails to trails through Kelowna to our different destinations, and encourage people to get out of their cars through a reliable transit system.
Mr. Adams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Green Party supports improving the quality of life in BC communities, and one way we can do that is to support clean, affordable, and efficient transportation. Greens want walkable neighborhoods, an increase in cycling paths, and affordable transit systems. We have to keep in mind this policy is BC-wide. If I'm speaking just Kelowna, where the weather is more conducive to a warm car at some stages, we have to keep that in mind. Good rapid transit system can help with that. There have been changes and improvements to the busing system, so these are steps in the right direction.
Mr. Newens.
Yeah, the BC NDP wants to improve the transit systems around the province, and in particular here in Kelowna-Lake country, we need to work with the transit system to get more coverage in different areas. It has been an area where a number of people that I've actually talked to on the doorsteps over the last month or two have raised some concerns. A lot of people don't want to walk to the bus stop. They have a big concern about, in most cases it's a 1 mile or 2 mile walk or to the bus stop, and they much sooner just jump in the car and drive to wherever they need to go. So we need to expand the bus systems, giving more stops for people to be able to get closer to their homes and being able to get out to walk to the buses. A lot of people, like I said, that I've talked to over the course of the last couple of months have indicated that they don't want to drive down the street and You just even looking out the door here, watching the traffic go by, most of the cars have one person in the car. So we need to get them out of their cars.
Mr. James.
Thank you, Wayne. I supported bike lanes. I supported expansion of our transit system in Kelowna when I was on council. But we have to do it in a fiscally responsible manner. Ridership only covers about 35% of the costs of moving our transit. The rest is covered by taxpayers. We have in Kelowna probably one of the better systems in the interior for a city this size. And we have to do it, and we can expand it, but we have to do it in a fiscally responsible manner. And because there's only one taxpayer, and that taxpayer is overextended now. And we have to do our expansion on our transit in a responsible manner.
Thank you. We touched earlier on the Okanagan's aging population. On the flip side, we're having a hard time attracting and keeping some of the young people and the young minds in this community. What strategies would you use to keep our young people, our young minds in the Okanagan, Mr. Adams?
Very good question. Thank you. Well, certainly business is a key for a lot of keeping the kids in our area. So anything that we can do to build out green industry, build out high-tech industry. There's a limit to how much in terms of manufacturing we can do here. It's a big issue and an important one. We need to keep track of our demographic situation. Had we done a better job of that 20, 30 years ago, we wouldn't have the healthcare crisis that we talk about today. So more forward planning, and the Green Party believes in 7 generations of forward planning for these kinds of things.
Mr. Newens?
Yeah, I think when I opened up, I talked about my 2 sons that are experiencing this very issue. It's very difficult in the Kelowna-Lake country area to get a good paying job for the younger generation. What we need to do is deliver a system that, again, we put forward under our platform, under our skills-based training and our needs-based student grant program to get people, young generation, young students trained up so that they can actually have a skill and a good trade to be able to come out and have a good job. And again, I talked about earlier about linking them with the jobs that are there. There are lots of employers, including myself when I had my 2 businesses running, that are constantly looking for good, skilled, trained people. We just need to link them with the employers that are there. And I know that there's a number of jobs that are out there that individuals would be looking for. So we need to work with our younger generation to make sure that they're skilled, they're trained, and they get the jobs that they need.
Mr. James.
Thank you, Wayne. We need to support our aviation industry here in Kelowna. We have a good one. We need to support the high-tech industry in Kelowna. And we need to have jobs for people in British Columbia that are high-paying. And some of them may have to go, but when they come back, they can spend that money here, and we can revamp and our I lost my thought now. Our industries like Campion boats and that sort of thing. We need to have higher paying jobs in British Columbia, and that way we can afford to do other things.
Mr. Lednick.
Thank you for that. It's an extremely important question, attracting and keeping young people here. The first thing we have to do is continue to expand the economy. We have to continue to invest in key areas like forestry, like agriculture, like the high-tech sector. I just toured the flight craft with Barry Lapointe. He says he's up to 650 employees. That's about 150 more than he was just a few years ago. And the average salary there is about $55,000. So we have to continue to work with these industries to make sure that we're producing the students and the grads from Okanagan College. We're investing $24 million in the trades program there, and UBCO, so that we line up those people. And it starts right back into high school. We have programs in high school that match to the college or to BCIT, and they're looking at taking some dual credit, and that's a great way of making sure people stay here. And the last thing we have to do is we have to continue to work on making housing more affordable. So it's a mix of making sure people have the income they need through a growing and expanding economy, but also housing that's more affordable. And that's why, along with some architects, lawyers, and other people, I've started a not-for-profit housing society to help make housing more affordable right here in the Kelowna-Lake Country area.
Thank you. In order to get those young minds educated so they can get the high-paying jobs, they have to go to school, university, Okanagan College, UBC Okanagan, or one of the other fine institutions across the province. It's harder and harder for young people to get the education they need to get those jobs as tuitions go up, they increase. Many can't afford to take that schooling. Your thoughts and your solutions to how we can get our young people educated in a cost-effective way, Mr. Newens?
Well, first off, we recognize that we need to work through our K-12 system. So what we've done in our platform is released that we will be hiring 1,000 more teachers over the course of the next through our term to decrease the amount of people or students that are in the classes, so they actually get one-on-one training with the teacher. Then moving into the post-secondary education, I've already talked about the $40 million that we're putting into our skills training program and another $100 million into a needs-based student grant program. That way people actually students can get into the programs that they need to be into, and actually it would be opened up so that we're not limited into people that are not wealthy, are not poor, are not middle class. So we want to get people that are all from all aspects of every part of whether you're rich, poor, or in the middle, so that you can actually get a good skill and a good trained job.
Mr. James.
One of the reasons I left the Liberals, I was a Liberal supporter, was the way they treated my children in high school in the last labor dispute. They used my children as pawns, political pawns in that labor dispute, and so did the Teachers Association. That's why, one of the reasons I left the Liberal Party. We need to support, we need to treat people fairly, we need to treat our teachers fairly, we need to negotiate in a sensible manner. We need to fund our trades training. We haven't done that for years. We can give tax incentives to companies to train people right here in Kelowna and elsewhere. That's what we have to do.
Mr. Lednick.
Well, I believe the question was on post-secondary education, so I'll
Sure,
okay.
of course.
Thank you. So on the post-secondary education, in 2001, the BC Liberal government inherited a system that was underfunded. Not because I don't believe the NDP purposely wanted to do that. It's just the economic policies of high tax and high spending results in underfunding, because sooner or later people stop moving here with their investments. And what happened is, since 2001, we've seen a massive expansion of universities, 7 new universities all through BC, including one here, of course, UBC Okanagan. That means our kids have been able to stay right here in the Okanagan, my kids too. Go to the college, go to UBCO, and get their post-secondary right here and get trained here and stay here. And that saved them at least $10,000 from going elsewhere with all the room and accommodation expenses. So we want to continue with that. We want to continue with free online textbooks, skills training. We want to continue with med school expansion. We have a med school right here in Kelowna now, which is a great harbinger for doctors staying right here and everyone finding one. And we have to continue with our loan forgiveness programs, reduction in student loans, and targeted financial assistance.
Thank you. Only Mr. Adams.
Okay. Yeah, post-secondary education is becoming a necessity for students graduating from high school, not necessarily four-year university, but certainly training beyond high school. And so the Green Party recognizes that and recognizes the tremendous debt that can come from a university education. Average now is about $27,000. This is, of course, more expensive for students who must live away from home. Then the Green Party has some key points to be mentioned, and I don't think I have a lot of time for the details, but certainly check it out on the Green Party website. I think you'll be surprised.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, and we'll begin with Mr. James to do with the local riding here. If on May 15th you do wake up and you are the MLA for Kelowna-Lake Country, what are your priorities in order, please?
Well, locally, of course, my priorities are to fund the water districts here in Kelowna. They're looking at $60 million in upgrades, both Southeast Kelowna, Glenmore, and Black Mountain. That's one of my priorities. Funding has been promised for over 2 years. This isn't a new issue. I was working on this in 2008, and nothing's been done. Southeast Kelowna is one of the worst water conditions in this province, and there's no funding. So that's one of the areas that I will dedicate myself to getting funding in a third proposition, and we can move ahead. Southeast Kelowna can move ahead with their water upgrades. Another, of course, is agriculture. I'm a big supporter of agriculture, and we will fund the farmer, not just the land, but we will fund the farmer.
Mr. Letnick.
So water infrastructure is a key priority for us. That's why for the last few years we've been working to change the policy of the government where they didn't fund improvement districts, water districts, but just cities. We've made that success. They now are available to get water infrastructure dollars. We're waiting for the next federal government program where we'll start looking at matching those dollars. In the meantime, we have put in a lot of money. We just announced or just opened a new clean water facility in Lake Country not too long ago. So we continue with that. Healthcare, of course, is the #1 priority for me and my constituents. Every time I go out and do surveys of my constituents, they say healthcare is important. We'll continue to invest in the cardiac surgical unit right here, almost $1 billion in healthcare investment. We'll continue to expand programs looking at retinal eye surgery in Kelowna, pain management. Those are really important for my constituents. And of course, education. We need to look at replacing retinal in the middle school. We need to look at new schools in the Glenmore and Lake Country. And then the list goes on. There's no shortage of things I would like to do if I'm re-elected as MLA with your support. Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
Well, one advantage of being last is having everything you were thinking about being mentioned already, and that has been the case on this topic. Water issues, of course, health care, everything that has been talked about is on the minds of people in this area, and the Green Party has policies about them, and I've talked about some of them. And it's up to the voter to decide which party is the way to go and which party offers the most to push these kinds of things forward. Some of them take many, many years. Changes have to take place at legislative levels, at different levels, and over time we're moving in the right direction. We just, as a Green Party, want to be a part of that.
Oh, almost last. Mr. Newens?
Yeah, I get to be last. Well, a lot of the main issues that are near and dear to all of us up here, agriculture has already been talked about, and I'll continue talking about it. Agriculture needs to be supported throughout the area here, not just in Kelowna-Lake Country, but also through the rest of the Okanagan Valley here and the province. Skills training, I talked about skills training and the education process that we need to work with, and our platform that we've released on our skills training and our education process. Seniors care, like we talked about earlier in one of the questions, we are an aging population, and we need to work with our seniors, and we need to take care of our seniors as they go through their end years of their life, and make sure that they're cared for, whether it's in a seniors facility or if they want to choose to have the end-of-life care in a palliative care at home and that. So we need to support them with that. Working with small business, well, we need to work with our small businesses to make sure that they succeed.
Thank you. That brings to an end the question and answer portion of this forum this afternoon. To wrap it up, we'll give each of the candidates 1 minute to kind of summarize everything, and we will go in reverse order of our opening remarks. So we'll begin with Mr. James on the left and move this way.
Thank you, Wayne. This election is about trust. Can we trust the NDP to look after our children's future? I don't think so. Do we trust the Liberals? All we have to do is look at the last election and the HST. It wasn't on the radar before the last election, but 3 days after the election, we had the HST. They lied to us then, and they're lying today about the budget. We can't trust either one of these parties. If you really want change, you're going to have to vote for it. If you want an open, honest government, then vote for the BC Conservatives. We will represent you in Victoria.
Mr. Newens.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I want to thank everybody that's watching at home, and I want to thank the rest of my candidates that are up here on the stage. It's an amazing process to go through and meet people on the doorsteps. And like I said, over the last couple of months that I've been doing that, the concerns that I've heard, the concerns that I hear from the working people out there, the working families, are they want to change for the better. They want to change one practical step at a time.
Mr. Adams.
Okay. Yeah, thank you to the organizer and candidates for coming out today, and the audiences for tuning in online. Once again, I'll refer people that are computer savvy to get on and check out the websites of the candidates, including the Greens on theirs, Green Book 2013. The Green Party has capable candidates in nearly all BC ridings. For change to take place in government, voters must step forward to continue to question and challenge. They must seek new ideas and directions. To vote for the same parties time after time will guarantee the same results. A few Green Party members elected to the BC legislature will ensure positive, effective change. I believe the Green Party has answers to our way forward, while working in cooperation with other elected members. I hope you will consider a change in direction by voting for the Green Party this spring. Thank you for listening today, and have a good afternoon.
And finally, we'll wrap it up with Mr. Letnick.
Just want to say thank you to the organizers, thank you to my fellow candidates. We've been doing this a lot and learning about each other and appreciating each other, so thank you for that. This election really is about where we go from here. I believe that we've had a very good support from our MLAs here in the past, and including the ones today with Steve and Ben and myself, working on your priorities, asking you through surveys what your priorities are, and then going after those priorities. Things like water infrastructure, healthcare expansion, transportation improvements, Highway 33, Highway 97. We continue to work on those priorities all the way through the 4 years, from the start to the end. If we are given another term, I will continue to work with them to make sure we deliver on your priorities again. Expansion at KGH, improvement of the services, retinal eye surgery, pain management, improvement of transportation infrastructure, investment into our local economies through Okanagan College and UBC, married with our high tech and our agriculture, and many other things. So hopefully on May 14th, you'll give us a vote of confidence and vote for Norm Letnick on the ballot. Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our 4 candidates for taking their time to come out this afternoon and join us. We'll take about a 5-10 minute break. We'll change the set, so to speak, and we'll welcome in the 4 candidates for the Kelowna Mission riding, and we will begin that debate probably in about 10 minutes. Again, thank you, candidates. Good luck May 14th, and we'll be back in about 10.
Thank you.